So there are times that they don't give us an actual function. We are going to be still continuing topic 2.5 here, but we're going to just read our values off of the graph. So we have to actually have this skill where we can read values off the graph. So the first thing I'm going to do, remember this is an x value. I'm going to go find the x value of 0 on the G graph, which is the green one, which means I'm going to read I'm going to plug, and then I'm going to plug that value and substitute it in here to the parentheses. So I'm going to go to 0. I'm going to go to the green graph. I'm going to read the y value off the graph. That y value would be 3. Now I am going to go to this x value of 3. So I'm going to go out 3, and then I'm going to go to the red graph. And on the red graph, I'm going to read off the y value. It looks like to me that that is 7. Okay, let's try it again. So I am going to rewrite this first. So I would probably rewrite it as g of f of -2, just so I can see I'm substituting the -2 into the g first, or into the f first. So I'm going to go to -2. I'm going to go to the f graph. So I'm going to the red graph, and I'm going to read off the y value, which looks like it's 2. Now I'm going to go to the x value of 2. I'm going to go to x equals 2, and I'm going to go to the green graph, the g graph. And it looks like when I read that y value off, it looks like it's 5. Okay, I'm going to try this again. All right, I am going to the x value of 0 on the f graph. So 0, I'm going to go to the f graph, which is the red one, and I'm going to read off the y value, which is -2. And now I'm going to use this x value. I'm going to go to the g graph at x equals -2, which would be here. I'm going to go to the green graph, and it looks like I'm reading off the y value of 2. Okay, I am going to erase, and I'm going to rewrite this as f of g of -2. So I need the x value of -2, and then I'm going to go to the g graph, which is the green one, and read off the y value, which is 2. So I'm looking for f of 2. Now we're going to go to the x value of 2. So I'm going to go to 2. I'm going to go to my f graph, which is the red one. I'm going to read off the y value, which also happens to be 2. So we're going to keep going just a bit. Sometimes they give us a slightly different take on this. It looks like we're going to find 4 different things on these. Okay, so I need to take g and I need to substitute it into f. So I'm taking this function and I'm plugging it into f. So I'm going to write my f function with parentheses for the x. So basically like that. And then I'm going to plug my g function in there. I really don't need to rewrite it in any way. Okay, I'm going to do it again. So now I've got my g function. It says that I'm supposed to go the other way. G of f of x. Okay, so I'm going to write my g function, which is this, with parentheses for the x. And then I'm going to substitute in my f function, which is just square root of x. And again, I probably don't need to simplify that in any way. Now you'll notice we're going to do these a little bit different. Since we already did the algebra and we know what f of g of x is and g of f of x is, we're just going to substitute the number into there. Before we were plugging the number into each one individually. Okay, so we're going to do f of g of 0, which means I'm plugging 0 into this here. So I would have the square root of 0 minus 1, which for our purposes right now, we can't do that, right? We would say that's something that does not exist or is undefined at this point. We're going to have actually a definition for that later on here in a few weeks. All right, I'm going to plug now into this one here. I'm going to plug in a 2. So we would have g of f of 2. So I'm taking and going square root of 2 minus 1, which is probably where I would leave it, because if I don't have my calculator, I wouldn't get that into decimal. All right, let's try again. So now I'm going to go through those same ones again. So A was f of g of x. So that means I write my f function with parentheses for the x. I'm going to take my g function and I'm going to substitute it in. So 4 minus x squared. And then I'm going to simplify this. So I've got 4 plus 2 is 6 minus x squared. Okay. Then I'm going to do g of f of x. Okay. So I'm going to take my g function. All right. So I've got 4 minus parentheses for the x. We're going to substitute in my f function, which is the x plus 2. So we've got 4 minus, I'm going to have to do x plus 2 times x plus 2, which means I have to FOIL that. You need to be really careful with that negative sign. So x times x is x squared. X times 2x is 2x, but I have 2 of them because I have the middle 2. So 4x, and then 2 times 2 is 4. I'm going to distribute in that negative. So negative x squared minus 4x minus 4. You'll notice I have a positive 4 and a negative 4, so this one simplifies to negative x minus 4x. All right, I'm going to just plug in what I know for these last two here. So for the c, I get to plug into actually this right here. So f of g of 0. So g of 0 would be f of, sorry, I'm supposed to be plugging into that. All right, so I'm plugging in 6 minus parentheses squared. I have to plug in a 0. Well, 0 squared is 0. 6 minus 0 is 6. All right, we are going to plug in the d, or plug into, let's see, this simplified one right here. So we're doing g of f of 2. Well, I'm going to write out my function with parentheses anywhere there's an x. And then I'm going to plug in a 2 to everything. So this negative is outside the parentheses, so I keep the negative. It's like saying negative 1 times 2 squared. So 2 squared is 4. And then negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. So I would get negative 12.